years old. Okay. So, he was born in Danville, Illinois, which is a rural town. He had 2 parents, and he was the 4th of 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. And they were raised by their parents. Carmen was the mother, and Steve, I believe is how you pronounce it, was the father. They were very religious people. It seems to me that they weren't religious in an abusive way, but rather just very into teaching good morals, teaching the children to stay away from trouble, avoid drugs, avoid gangs, get your education. Of course, they insisted on prayers before bed, attending church. And Jelani's mother, Carmen, always taught him and his brothers that sadly they had been born with 2 strikes against them. They were black and they were males. And she taught them, make a good name for yourself. That is something that nobody can take away from you. And all of her 5 children went to college and got college degrees. When Jelani's grandfather passed away in 2014, Jelani took over his grandfather's car. It was a Chrysler 300, I think, or 3000. And it was in need of repair, so Jelani worked to pay for the repairs, and he got the car up and running and looking nice. And that was his car. He graduated from college at Alabama A&M in 2018. He got a degree in speech pathology. The reason why he entered this field was because when he was a kid, one of his friends had a speech impediment, and everyone teased him. This moved Jelani to want to help people with speech problems. While he was in college, his professors there adored him. He was said to be intelligent, responsible. He was a pleasure in class. He showed up in a 3-piece suit to do a presentation, something that no one else did. And they all knew that he had future plans of becoming a doctor. So in 2021, he began a graduate program at Illinois State University. This was for a master's degree in speech. Now I know everyone was saying he was going to become a doctor. I'm not really sure what his, ultimate goal was, but he was supposedly getting a master's in speech and language pathology. what the results were of that. So, now moving up to the main event. I want to call it a crime, because I know it's a crime, but officially, let's just call it the main event. On August 23rd, 2021, Jelani spoke to his mother for the last time ever. They talked about the upcoming Thanksgiving vacation that the family was going to be taking. And Jelani told her that he had sent her some money towards his portion of it. And he said something about he enjoyed hearing her voice, he was happy to hear her voice, something like that, which was typical of their conversations. She said they spoke on the phone very regularly, and whenever she would text or call him, he would always get right back to her. So that was on the 23rd. He also spoke to one of his professors that same evening and said he would see them the next day. Now, the next day, August 24th, he was seen on CCTV in the student center around 7 in the morning. Then he was also seen at the Hello Beyond Cannabis dispensary right there in town at 9:15 a.m. And that, unfortunately, was the final sighting of Jelani. He wasn't at his classes that day, and he did not see the professor that he was supposed to see. They reported it to the school that he hadn't shown up to class, and they were concerned. And the mother was getting concerned, even though it hadn't been long. It wasn't usual for him to not answer her calls. So on the 25th of August, she reported him missing to the authorities. And they began to search for him the next day using the usual methods, which were canine dogs. They used drones to search overhead, and ground searches. Okay, now I'm going to consult my notes because the timeline is very specific in terms of dates, so I want to get that right. So, also on the 26th, his car was found 60 miles away from his apartment in a town called Peru. It was in a wooded area behind the YMCA. And his mother stated that he would never have been there. He had no reason announced that there would be a reward of $25,000 for anyone who could help find Jelani. On September 1st, his mother and others scoured the area around the cannabis store. And finally, on September 4th, a search party found his body located in the Illinois River. This was 2 miles away from his car. The authorities explained that it would take weeks to confirm the identity of the body, so they told the mother nothing. They asked for her DNA, and that was basically it. Like, we'll let you know what turns up. And although it almost seemed like it was extremely probable that it would be Jelani, she still held out hope that it wasn't. Because his car was 2 miles away, and it wasn't like it was 2 miles down the river. Where his car was, it was 2 miles to the river. You get what I'm saying? Finally, on September 23rd, so 19 days later, the coroner reports that the body is that of Jelani Day. But they say they don't yet have any cause of death. They hadn't determined that yet. 19 days. They can say it's Jelani. That's all they can say. Now tell me, how long did it take when they found Gabby Petito? How long did it take for them to tell you who it was? What was it, a couple of days? Okay. Granted, he was in water, okay? So he was quite, what's the word? His body was not in good shape, okay? Alright, finally, on October 28th, what's the math here? That's a month and 5 days. A month and 5 days later, they reported that the cause of death was drowning. Drowning. That's it. They said there was no sign of any injury. So all they could say was drowning. And although they didn't write down suicide, there was kind of almost an unspoken sense from the authorities that they were trying to, push the idea of suicide. So let's try to imagine how that happened, if it were suicide, or what they called mush and liquefied from having been in the river. Now, for some reason, people listening on the internet, people paying attention on the internet, they misunderstood something about the second autopsy. And they started spreading rumors that the mother said that his organs were missing, which she never said. The organs were not missing. And they started to say that his organs were being harvested and it was a setup and the school was responsible and his professor was responsible because his brain was missing and she took his brain because he was so smart and it was personal and all this kind of, mumbo jumbo. So Jelani's mother got out there and said, alright, announcement, his organs are not missing. Okay. No, that's not the deal. His organs are not being harvested. Now, she wanted the FBI to get involved, and she couldn't understand why Gabby Petito got the FBI right away. And, well, the truth is, the FBI only works on the case if there is a federal crime. And with Gabby, since state lines had been crossed, it became a federal case. This one was not considered that, but she made enough noise so that they agreed on October 28th, they agreed to assist on the case. Assist with the police departments. They didn't agree to take it over altogether, but they would assist, so that is something. Now, another thing happened on October 17th, so we're going back a little bit. A man was driving along by the exit. I don't know if it was the exit to Bloomington or out of Bloomington. It was an exit ramp, though, around Bloomington, which is the town where he lived. The guy had a mattress tied to his truck, and it was starting to come loose, so he pulled over, and he got out to tighten it. And he found a shattered cell phone on the ground there. So he brought it over to Walmart to sell it to them. Like how you can trade in a phone when you buy a new one. Well, I don't think he was trading it in, but he was able to sell it to them straight up. It was probably okay, just the screen was shattered. It doesn't really matter though. So he sold it for $80 and went on his way. And somehow Walmart came to realize that this was the phone of Jelani Day. So they turned it over to the police. Do you think that the police called the mother, Carmen? What do you think? No. No, they didn't. Not right away. They didn't even look at the phone. They called her to tell her about the phone on November 11th. Okay, November 11th. The phone was found on October 17th. So more than 3 weeks later, they called her, told her about the phone. They hadn't looked at it, and she asked them to just turn it right over to the FBI. And they said, so do you not want us to even look at it at all? And she said, no, just give it to the FBI. So that is supposedly what saying things to her like, well, you know, it's Friday, I'll see what I can find about this or that today, and then I won't be back till Monday. So, you know, she's thinking, what, are you the only person? This is the police department. What did the police department close on the weekend? Are people still not missing on the weekend? You know, I'm supposed to just sit here and wonder about my missing son over the weekend. And when she had called the coroner's office to ask, you know, what was taking so long, or I don't know exactly what she said to them, but they got annoyed and said, do you want to know if this is your son or not? Like, no one seemed to have any empathy for this woman. And here is something that she said that I want to read. Quote, me and my kids, me and everybody that never knew Jelani, my family, friends, strangers, did all the legwork. My son didn't get any type of help. He didn't deserve this. It is so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. I mean, that's all there is to the case at this point. There are no leads. Nobody has the slightest clue as to what could have happened here. If you have any ideas, put it in the comments. I am just dumbfounded. He did not have a girlfriend. Nobody knew about a girlfriend. No girls came forward after this. He wasn't in any fights with anyone. There was just nothing going on. He wasn't a drug addict. There weren't drugs found in his system during the autopsy. So what is the deal? I also don't really see any reason to cover up anything either. I mean, it just sounds, you know, like, yeah, I'm not there, okay? I haven't spoken to any police officers there. I haven't really heard much from them. I've mostly just heard from the mother. So it is a little one-sided, but, I mean, she seems like a regular, decent type of person from what I see. She doesn't seem like a lunatic, you know? Like one of those people who would call the police 20 times a day. You know, I don't get that sense. So what is going on here? Why? I mean, are they just kind of dragging their feet? Are they just very busy over there? I can't say. Now, what about the media? Why has this case not gotten as much attention as ones like Gabby Petito, even though it was happening at the same time? Is it racial? I mean, that is what everyone is saying, that it is racial. That she was a pretty white girl, and he was a young black man, and that this country is more interested in hearing about the pretty, blonde, white girl than the young black man. But it is such a shame. I mean, the media coverage, does it have much to do with the way the cases turn out? I mean, well, with Gabby, she was unfortunately deceased before any of us even heard about her, right? We don't know when exactly Jelani died. Did he die right after he went missing? Did he die before the 25th of August when his mother reported him? I don't know. What if he didn't? What if someone could have found him? You know, what if media coverage could because that's how they get paid. If they think you don't want to hear about Jelani, they're not putting it out there. They did start to pick up on it when the mother started complaining, about the racial injustice, because they didn't want to seem racist at all, But what do you all think about it? Everyone please be respectful, though. Seriously. Respectful to each other, respectful to me. I just, putting aside all the issues here, it breaks my heart that this wonderful young man, it just sounded so great, and he had so much promise for the future, that he's gone. And right now, nobody, well, somebody might know, but the majority of us and his family have no idea what happened. The horror of that. Like I always say, stop for a minute. I need to stop talking, and you guys need to stop listening and just think for a second what it would be like, God forbid, if you were this mother and your son disappeared. So first you're sitting